You walk into your kitchen, and there is a pile of tomatoes on the counter going soft. Next to them, 4 cucumbers you picked 2 days ago that nobody ate. You tell yourself you will do something with them tonight. You do not. By the weekend, they are in the trash. You grew that food from seed. You watered it, fed it, watched it for months, and you just threw it away. That guilt is real, but you are not doing anything wrong. Your garden is just outproducing your kitchen. Most people think preserving food means pressure canners, boiling water baths, and the fear of making someone sick. It does not. I compared 7 methods by cost, effort, and how long the food actually lasts. The easiest one takes 10 minutes. One costs 15 cents and needs no electricity. Before we start, tell me where you are growing, your state, your zone, whatever you know. Number 1. Refrigerator pickles. 10 minutes and a jar you already own. You pull a handful of cucumbers off the vine on Monday. By Wednesday, 3 more show up. By Friday, you have got a pile sitting on your counter and no plan for any of them. 2 days later, half of them are soft and heading for the compost bin. If I could only pick one method from this entire list to start with, this is it. Refrigerator pickles. No canning, no boiling water bath, no pressure cooker, no special jars, no experience. Here is the part that changes everything. You do not need any of that equipment to make pickles. The vinegar in the brine drops the pH low enough that bacteria cannot survive. The cold fridge does the rest. That is it. Vinegar, salt, a jar, your fridge. The cucumbers you are about to throw away are now pickles. And not just cucumbers. Green beans, carrots, jalapenos, beets, onions, radishes. If it came out of your garden and you do not know what to do with it, there is a good chance it can go into a jar of brine. What that means for your fridge is simple. You are turning a vegetable that lasts 4 days on the counter into something that lasts 4 to 6 weeks, for pennies. Here is exactly what to do. Mix 1 cup white vinegar, 1 cup water, 1 tablespoon salt, and 1 teaspoon sugar in a pot. Bring it to a boil. Turn off the heat. While the brine heats up, pack your vegetables into any glass jar with a lid. A quart jar, a pint jar, an old pasta sauce jar, it does not matter. Cut cucumbers into spears or 1/4-inch rounds. Slice carrots into sticks. Trim the ends off green beans. Smash 2 to 3 garlic cloves and drop them in. Add a teaspoon of dill seed and half a teaspoon of peppercorns. Pour the hot brine over the vegetables until they are covered. Put the lid on. Put the jar in the fridge. You can eat them in 24 hours. They taste best after 3 to 5 days. Total active time from start to fridge, under 10 minutes. If you are growing Kirby cucumbers or National Pickling, those are your best bet. They hold their crunch. But any cucumber from the garden works. One thing to know, refrigerator pickles are not shelf-stable. They live in the fridge, not on a shelf. If your fridge is already packed, that is a real limit. But for most people, 1 shelf in the door is all you need. A jar of pickles at the grocery store runs $3 to $5. You just made the same thing for the cost of a splash of vinegar and a pinch of salt. 10 minutes of work. Pennies in ingredients. And you just turned a pile of vegetables that was about to hit the trash into something you would actually pay money for at the store. Number 2. Freezing. The one step you are skipping that ruins everything by December. Most people who freeze their garden vegetables skip one step. And that one step is why their frozen green beans come out gray, mushy, and tasting like the inside of the freezer bag. The step is blanching. 2 to 3 minutes in boiling water, then straight into a bowl of ice water. Done. What most preservation guides skip over is the part that actually matters. Your vegetables are full of enzymes. When you put raw vegetables in the freezer, those enzymes do not die. They sleep. They slow down, but they keep working, breaking down color, flavor, and texture even at 0 degrees Fahrenheit. By December, your green beans look gray and taste like nothing. Blanching kills those enzymes before they ever hit the freezer. University of Minnesota Extension says the same thing. Blanch everything before you freeze it. It is not a suggestion. That one step is the difference between vegetables you actually want to eat in January and a bag of gray mush you throw away. I went through every extension guide I could find on this, and every single one said the same thing. Blanching is not optional. If you have been tossing raw vegetables straight into freezer bags without blanching, that is why they turn into a sad, mushy mess by winter. So here is your move. Boil a big pot of water, 1 gallon per pound of vegetables. Drop your vegetables in. Green beans get 3 minutes. Corn on the cob, 7 to 11 minutes depending on size. Broccoli, 3 minutes. When the time is up, pull them out and dump them straight into ice water for the same amount of time. Drain them dry. Spread them in a single layer on a baking sheet and freeze for 1 to 2 hours. Then transfer to a freezer bag, squeeze the air out, and label it with the name and date. That is it. 8 to 12 months of quality. Some vegetables skip the blanch entirely. Bell peppers, just dice and freeze. Tomatoes, wash them, cut out the core, and freeze them whole on a baking sheet. Zucchini, grate it, squeeze dry with a towel, and freeze in 1-cup portions for bread and muffins later. Blue Lake Bush 274 and Provider are 2 of the best green beans for freezing. Zone 3 through 9. Bush type, heavy producers. For corn, Golden Bantam or Honey Select. Zone 3 through 8. 20 minutes of blanching in July buys you 8 months of vegetables that actually taste like vegetables. But the next method on this list does not need a freezer, does not need electricity, and costs about 15 cents. Stay with me on this. Number 3. Lacto-Fermentation. 15 cents, 0 equipment, and the bacteria do all the work. Every other method on this list tries to stop bacteria from growing. This one does the exact opposite. You invite the bacteria in, on purpose. And that is what makes it work. I used to think fermentation was complicated, something for people with ceramic crocks and old family recipes and way more patience than I have. I was wrong. It is the simplest method on this entire list. The piece you will not hear in most videos is what actually happens inside that jar. When you pack vegetables in salt, the salt pulls water out of the cells. That water becomes the brine. The brine covers the vegetables and pushes out the oxygen. Bad bacteria need oxygen to survive. Without it, they die. But the good bacteria, the lactic acid bacteria that were already living on the surface of your vegetables, they thrive without oxygen. They start eating the natural sugars in your produce. Every time they eat, they release acid. That acid drops the pH inside the jar. Once it drops below 4.6, almost nothing dangerous can survive in there. Your vegetables are preserved. You did not add a single chemical. The bacteria did all the work for you. So your job is simple. Keep every piece under the brine, use the right salt, and let the bacteria work. The USDA National Center for Home Food Preservation recognizes this as a safe method for home use. Your great-grandmother knew it too. Salt, jar, time. Somehow we forgot. Fair warning, this tip has one condition. You have to use non-iodized salt. Table salt with iodine kills the good bacteria you need. Grab kosher salt or sea salt from the grocery store. That is the one thing you cannot swap out. This is where you make the change. Dissolve 2 tablespoons of kosher salt or sea salt in 1 quart of water. That is your brine. Cut your vegetables and pack them tight into a wide-mouth quart mason jar. You can grab a 12-pack at Walmart for $3 to $4. Pour the brine over the vegetables until everything is completely submerged. Nothing can stick above the liquid. Use a zip bag filled with water, a small plate, even a clean rock to weigh the vegetables down. Set the jar on your counter, out of direct sunlight. Keep it between 65 and 75 degrees. Open the lid once a day for the first 5 days to let the CO2 escape. You will see bubbles. That is a good sign. Taste it after day 5. When it is tangy enough for you, move the jar to the fridge. Best vegetables to start with: Kirby cucumbers, cabbage for sauerkraut, carrots, radishes, jalapenos. If you are growing Golden Acre or Early Jersey Wakefield cabbage, zone 3 through 9, those are compact, fast-maturing, and perfect for a first batch. National pickling cucumbers work here too. You look at that jar sitting on your counter for a week, and every instinct says, throw it out. But the bubbling, the smell, that is not food going bad. That is food being preserved the way humans have done it for thousands of years. The bacteria on your vegetables do all the work. You do not plug anything in. You do not buy anything special. And the whole batch costs about 15 cents. If that one tip just saved you from throwing out another batch of cucumbers, subscribe. Every video on this channel is built the same way. Real methods, real numbers, no filler. It is free and it takes 1 second. Number 4. The ice cube tray method. The fastest way to stop wasting every herb in your garden. How many times have you watched a full basil plant go to flower because you could not use it fast enough? Or pulled a handful of cilantro that was already slimy before you even got around to cooking with it? Everyone talks about freezing vegetables. The part most people skip over is that herbs freeze even better, and they are the first thing to go to waste in any garden. Basil, cilantro, parsley, dill, mint, chives, oregano. They bolt, they wilt, they turn to mush in the fridge within days. And most gardeners just let it happen. Here's what nobody is putting together. You can freeze herbs the same way you freeze broth, in an ice cube tray. Take a cup of packed fresh herbs and blend it with 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Pour the mix into a standard ice cube tray. Each cube comes out to about 1 tablespoon. Freeze them solid, pop them out, drop them into a freezer bag. When you are cooking pasta, soup, stir-fry, rice, grab a cube and toss it straight in, no thawing. 3 to 4 months of shelf life in the freezer. If you have been buying those little plastic containers of pesto from the grocery store while your basil plant goes to seed in the backyard, this one is going to sting a little. 1 session and you are set for months. Blend 2 cups of Genovese basil with 2 cloves of garlic, a 1/3 cup of olive oil, 1/2 cup of Parmesan, and a 1/4 cup of pine nuts. Skip the pine nuts if you want to save money. They run $8 to $12 a bag. Walnuts work fine at $3 to $4. Or leave the nuts out entirely. The pesto still tastes great. Pour it into a zip bag, press it flat to about 1/4 inch, and freeze it. Break off a piece whenever you need it. Pesto lasts 4 to 6 months frozen. Genovese basil is the standard for pesto. Zone 4 through 10. Big leaves, heavy producer. If you deal with cilantro bolting every summer, grow the slow bolt variety. Zone 3 through 9. Bred specifically to hold off flowering in heat. Italian flatleaf parsley, zone 3 through 9. Stronger flavor than curly and freezes just as well. 1 Genovese basil plant costs $2 to $3. 1 jar of store-bought pesto costs $4 to $6. A $2 basil plant and a $1 ice cube tray just replaced your pesto budget for the year. Number 5. Dehydrating. Press a button, go to bed, wake up with a full pantry. You want the laziest preservation method that exists? The one where you do 5 minutes of prep, press a button, and walk away? This is it. A food dehydrator does one thing. It blows warm air over sliced vegetables for hours until the moisture is gone. You load the trays before bed, you wake up, and the food is done. Nothing else to it. What the packaging does not tell you is why this works so well. A fresh tomato is mostly water. Bacteria need that water to stay alive. When you dry your tomatoes down under 10% moisture, you take that water away. Mold cannot spread. Yeast cannot work. Nothing has enough moisture to ruin the food. Oregon State Extension notes that dried vegetables hold for 6 months at room temperature. Vacuum sealed, they last years. So the goal is simple. Dry the pieces until they snap instead of bend. A bag of dried tomatoes from your garden in July still tastes good in February. The moisture is gone, and so is everything that could ruin it. I ran the numbers. A $45 machine, a couple nights running while you sleep, and you have a pantry that would cost 10 times that at the store. 1 ounce of sun-dried tomatoes at the store runs $4 to $6. A single Roma plant gives you pounds. A gardener in a Texas Facebook group posted that she dehydrated her entire jalapeno harvest in 2 sessions, ground it into powder, and had enough homemade chili flakes to last 2 years. Your kitchen can do the same with whatever is ripening right now. The whole thing takes 5 minutes of your hands-on time. Slice your vegetables to about 1/4 inch thick. Lay them on the trays in a single layer. Set the temperature. Vegetables go at 125 to 135 degrees. Herbs go lower, 95 to 105, to keep the oils intact. Check back in 6 to 12 hours. When the pieces snap instead of bend, they are done. If they still bend, keep going. For tomatoes, grow Roma VF, zone 3 through 9, paste type, meaty, low water content, dries faster than anything else. For peppers, grow cayenne in zones 4 through 11. Grow jalapeno early in zones 3 through 9. Dehydrate them whole and grind into powder. Black Beauty zucchini, zone 3 through 9. Sliced thin with salt and garlic powder makes better chips than anything from a bag. No dehydrator? Your oven works. Set it to the lowest temperature, crack the door open 1 inch, and let it run. Slower, but it gets the job done. A Nesco Snack Master at Walmart runs $40 to $50. I want to be straight with you on this one. A dehydrator is not free. If your harvest is small, the math might not add up the first year. But if you are pulling pounds of produce off the vine every week, that machine pays for itself before August is over. Press a button, go to bed. Wake up with a pantry full of food that lasts all winter. And the last entry on this list? That one does not preserve your food at all. But it might be the most valuable thing you do with your garden this summer. Number 6. The soup bag. How kitchen scraps become free dinners all winter. You have got 3 tomatoes that are a little too soft, half a pepper, a handful of green beans that did not make it into dinner, and 2 zucchini you forgot about. Most people would toss all of that. Do not. What most people miss is that scraps do not need to be pretty. They just need to be frozen before they rot. Keep a gallon zip bag in the freezer. Every time you have leftover vegetables or something that is about to turn, chop it rough and throw it in. Tomatoes, peppers, onions, zucchini, corn, green beans, carrots, celery, kale, chard. Size does not matter. Shape does not matter. It is all getting cooked anyway. If there is a bag of sad, forgotten mystery vegetables in your freezer right now, that is a free dinner you have been sitting on. When the bag is full, roughly 6 to 8 cups, dump the whole thing into a pot. Add 4 to 6 cups of broth. Season with salt, pepper, garlic powder, and Italian seasoning. Simmer 30 to 40 minutes. Throw in a can of beans or some pasta if you want a full meal. You do not blanch it. You do not prep it. You just cook it when the bag is full. 1 soup bag feeds 4 to 6 people. The vegetables cost you nothing because they were headed for the trash. The broth costs maybe $2. 0 waste, 0 effort, $0. Write soup bag on the front with a date. Start filling it today. By the time your garden slows down in the fall, you will have 3 or 4 of these stacked in the freezer. Each one is a free pot of soup waiting for a cold night. The laziest preservation method on this list is just a plastic bag and a little bit of faith. Number 7. The neighbor strategy. What to do when you have already preserved everything you can. The average zucchini plant produces 6 to 10 pounds per season. If you planted 3 of them, you are looking at 20 to 30 pounds of zucchini. No family on earth eats that much zucchini, and that is just one crop. You have pickled, frozen, fermented, dehydrated, and bagged everything you can handle. There is still a pile of produce coming in. Every productive garden hits this point. The question is what you do with the surplus before it turns soft on the counter and ends up in the trash. The USDA estimates that 30 to 40% of all food in America goes to waste every year. Home gardeners in the middle of summer are part of that number. You do not have to be. Your neighbor mentions she is looking for fresh tomatoes for a weekend dinner. You have 12 sitting on the counter right now. But instead of walking them over, you let them sit there until Monday. By then, they are soft. Into the trash. That was a free favor you never delivered. Here is what nobody is putting together. Giving food away is still saving the harvest. You are just saving it in someone else's kitchen. Here is your first move. Go to ampleharvest.org. It is a free database that connects home gardeners to local food pantries. Enter your zip code. Find the nearest pantry that accepts fresh produce. Drop off whatever you cannot use. Even 5 pounds a week makes a difference. Most pantries are short on fresh vegetables all summer long. Second move. Give it away smart. Do not just leave a bag of zucchini on your neighbor's porch. That is how zucchini becomes a joke. Put the vegetables in a paper bag or a small basket. Print a recipe card, 1/4 page. Here is a bag of Roma tomatoes and a 1-page recipe for roasted tomato sauce. That turns your surplus into a gift people actually want. Third move. Trade. You grow tomatoes, your neighbor grows peppers. Trade 5 pounds for 5 pounds every Tuesday. You both get variety without planting more. Keep the deal simple. Keep it regular. Of everything on this list, this is the one that costs you nothing and gives you the most back, not just in food, in goodwill. The gardener who shares well becomes the neighbor everybody likes. That has value you cannot measure in dollars. Every pound you give away is a pound that does not rot, and in most communities, it is a pound that somebody needed. So here is the full list. Refrigerator pickles, 10 minutes. Pennies, and your cucumbers stop going to waste. Freezing, blanch first, and your vegetables taste like July even in January. Lacto-fermentation, salt, a jar, thyme, and about 15 cents per batch. Ice cube tray herbs. Your basil plant just replaced a whole year of pesto from the store. Dehydrating. Press a button. Go to bed. Wake up with a stocked pantry. Soup bags. 0 effort, 0 cost. 1 free dinner whenever you need it. And the neighbor strategy. Everything you cannot use, someone else can. You already did the hard part. You grew the food. Every method on this list takes less time than driving to the grocery store. The only thing standing between your garden and your grocery bill is a jar, a bag, or a neighbor who is hungry. Tell me in the comments which one of these you are trying first. And if you have already been doing one of them, tell me how it went. I read every single comment. And think about the person in your life who posts photos of their garden every week, but then admits they let half of it go bad. The one who grew beautiful tomatoes last summer and watched most of them go soft on the counter. Send them this video. Do not write a message, just send the link. They will thank you in August.